Desde el hondo crisol de la patria se levanta el clamor popular, ya se anuncia la nueva alborada, todo Chile comienza a cantar, recordando el soldado valiente, cuyo ejemplo se hiciera inmortal. Enfrentemos primero la muerte, traicionar a la patria más. Venceremos, venceremos, mil cadenas habrá que romper. Venceremos, venceremos, al fascismo sabremos vencer. Venceremos, venceremos, mil cadenas habrá que romper. Venceremos, venceremos, al fascismo sabremos vencer. Campesinos, soldados y obreros, la mujer de la patria también, estudiantes, empleados, mineros, cumpliremos con nuestro deber, sembraremos la tierra de gloria, socialista será el porvenir, todos juntos haremos la historia, a cumplir, a cumplir, a cumplir. Venceremos, venceremos, mil cadenas habrá que romper. Venceremos, venceremos, al fascismo sabremos vencer. Venceremos, venceremos, mil cadenas habrá que romper. Venceremos, venceremos, al fascismo sabremos vencer.
All right, I think my text, okay, my camera's working here. Thank you for dealing with me. You know, this is the fourth time that I've tried to have this like little talk with the internet. Unfortunately, in the last 10 days, we went through a situation where my main, essentially, my computer, various parts of it just gasped their absolute last. And as a result, one of the things you learn up here in Maine is that even though we are a part of the United States, I mean, things aren't as easy to get up here sometimes, especially, you know, technical stuff like computer parts. And it took about, you know, a week to get stuff up here. And during that time, I tried to have this, have this conversation via the internet here. Hello? Hello, hi, yes, hello, hi, James. I'm very sorry, but I'm going to be going into, James, hello. I'm going to be going into something that's sort of like tangentially related to Peace Island, because what's happening in the background while I talk about this, just so you guys know, is, let me see, can I bring this, no, I'm going to make my ugly mug smaller so I can make more room for this guy over here. We're having this issue where, I mean, you can see here, inside the editor, all the foliage is rendering properly. I mean, you can see, I mean, it's there. But I found out far too late, and I think this may have been in our last beta, that embarrassingly enough, there's this bug that occurred where essentially against the sky, everything becomes sort of ghostly. And as you can see here in the editor, we do not have that problem at all. Everything is appearing as it should. But I just went through all of, you know, the back-end packages, you know, the Unity packages, and we did have a couple of like updates related to visual stuff that I think I would like to spend a little bit. I would like to try another build. Let me see. I could show you an example of the way it did. Well, just imagine this. Yeah, I mean, I would be embarrassed if the last beta was like this, and it may have been. By some like reports that basically are walking through this ghostly barren landscape with just like skeletal trees, you know, and against the ground you see grass and everything, but as soon as you look up, it's like ew. I'm wondering, there are unfortunately with Unity and such some stuff that happens in editor that does not carry across to the player. And the one thing I want to check before I proceed upon my like long, boring dissertation that you can see there is I want to take a look at the visual, the settings for the player and see if anything looks suspect. And then we're going to sort of build, and then I want to go into this, this discussion about AI art or no, I'm sorry, AI content, and I want to make that clear from the very beginning. And maybe I could, while I'm talking about that, I could do the difference between AI art, the difference between art and AI content. Let's lay that out very clearly at the very beginning. And you'll understand why I believe I'm qualified to speak about this. Despite my earlier misspeaking there, I do not believe there is such a thing as AI art. I believe there is AI content, but only art can be created by a human being. And yeah, there are some people, unfortunately, in this world that now like tout themselves as quote unquote AI artists. That doesn't exist. No, no, no. It doesn't exist. So I mean, it's a cool tool. Trust me. But I don't. But anyway, yeah, I was going to look at our project settings here. I do not believe. I mean, any anybody who is familiar with the French language, or I mean, any most people who are not have understand the say are familiar with saying "je ne sais quoi," and that basically means I don't know what it is. This unknowable thing, and really, that is. I could sit here for hours and hours and discuss the philosophical differences between AI created content and human created art. But really, I have to boil it down to if it's made by a human, it has the potential to be art. If it's made by an AI algorithm, it's content. It's never art. So let's just take a look. I'm going to take a look at my player settings here and see if we're missing anything here. Resolution of presentation. Turn right now. Well, heck. Run the backward capture single screen. Jeez, other settings. Usually this is where the juicy stuff is. Yeah, GP, high quality. HDR mode, no. Mac App Store options. We can ignore that for now. Actually, these we don't need. That might be the issue. I would like to think. Just taking another look at all these things. Gaia 2, we haven't used Playmaker. We don't use Playmaker anymore for anything, I don't believe. So we can get rid of those as well. CTS Odin ecosystem. Huh? Okay. More Playmaker crap. So we gotta get rid. I mean, heck, that can really. Sometimes it can just be an issue. Playmaker. Remove. 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 Hold on. Okay. Let's see here. And I think everything else should be good. Even though we're not using Udi anymore, really. Is there a way I could just grab all of those at once? I wish I could. It's just so silly. But yeah, I can remove those one by one. Okay, sector audio, let's see, Enviro, touch react. We're not using the touch react system. Unity post processing stack, Crest Ocean. We're using every one of these, but yeah, okay. I'm gonna go apply those changes again. And let's just give it a try. I'm going to play it inside of the editor again, then we're going to run it off and make a build. But I'm going to continue with what I was with what I started with. And I should bring my little window that really. I'm going to bring this over here so I can see what's going on, and bring my big ugly mug up so that it's a little bit more visible. Now, and also, I hate to be like. It seems I left my cup, my beverage container in the other room. I will be right back. In fact, I see it right over there. So, hey, little guys. Hey, little guys. There are so many kitties. Oh, well, there are three kitty cats. But anyway, okay. Yes. Okay. Let's see. Are we ready to rock here? Yeah, it looks like we are. Okay. Yeah, it's still building a player. Okay. Now, I want to start off the first substantia thing after I've established the difference between AI content and art. Is I would like to go into how Peace Island in itself is more of, I mean, it is a game, but really it's more of an art project than most other games that are made, because for the most part, indie games are made by a coder who has an idea and they take it as far as they can with, whatever graphics they could put together. And then they reach out and they find artists and animators to help them out. Whereas Peace Island started with Laura and myself, whose main background is in illustration, art, animation, and music and stuff like that. We started, and after we got it to a certain point, we started reaching out to programmers and coders to assist us with the game's development. So it is definitely a game, but we've always approached it from the artistic point of view. I mean, the work I did for Atari and it was animation and pixel art, sprite graphics, and anyway, I could go into my curriculum vitae, but I think I'm gonna. Goodness gracious, it keeps on kicking this at me. Okay, I'm going to go into the next point, which is my personal relationship with art and illustration. And I've done this for all the other 4 variations of this, cast that I've tried to do. But I brought out my old sketchbooks, and here's how old it is. Nader LeDuc bumper sticker on here. Jeez, this was like, but you can see, these are my old sketchbooks. I have a strong background in illustration and everything from pen and ink to let's see here, just crazy stuff. I this is what I used to do, and with very, very, very few exceptions, I would always draw from whatever I could pull out of my mind. I never really did much life drawing outside of like studying for cats, because when you I'll explain that later. But you can see I used to do human sketches, studies and such, but it was always just like whatever I could pull out of my head. Because if any aspiring illustrator really wants to learn how to break down like the human figure and such, I recommend looking into the works of a guy by the name of Bernie Wrightson. He was a fantastic illustrator, and I mean, you just have to look at his stuff, and it to me at least, it clicked in my brain of just, oh, that is how you break down the human body, and you break, I mean, and how you once you learn this little trick. I mean, it's so much easier to do the, sort of like the Da Vinci thing of being able to imagine something in 3D in your mind and being able to portray it and being able to just, figure out, okay, if it's a bunch of shapes, how would those shapes look at that angle? And the problem with my illustration career is that at a certain point, it still looks great in editor, so I didn't screw anything up. So what I'm going to do here is what we're going to do is we're going to just push this through the build process again, which will give me enough time to push through the rest of this list over to my right. Right? Yeah, so on my right there. So I'm going to just stop this, and we are going to set up a build. Man, I am so embarrassed because if the last build had that issue in it, because I literally sent that to publishers, and it's credit to those publishers. They actually got back that publisher. They got back in touch and said, "Okay, there's something here. We want to discuss this. Are you going to have a better version soon?" And I said, "Oh, absolutely." Well, I haven't written back to them because I had other priorities, like figuring getting the game 100% working. Because I really wanted to release this evening but unfortunately because of this error, and there's this issue with one of the quests. I understand. Except I believe Laura just said she fixed it. But there were these last minute issues that are going to prevent us from, it takes about a half hour to build, and it takes about 3 hours to upload. So I don't want to be writing this update, at 12 p.m. and just boo. I would rather approach it with fresh eyes tomorrow once we get these stuff done tonight. Anyway, so let's get the build settings out. And actually I want to, jeez, is this going to pump up what I'm going to do? I just finished. Oh, look at this. Oh, it's still doing its thing. Ooh. Anyway, after this, I'm going to probably pull this video offline and do chapters because I'm being distracted back and forth so much. But let me see. At one point, yeah, you see, these are the life drawings I used to do because right before I moved, right before I moved up to Portland, I was trying to do this big art project. It was sort of like a post-apocalyptic thing about convergent evolution, and it was just this bizarre concept. And unfortunately, at a certain point, what happened it was around the summer of 2001. And some people watching you may be thinking, my goodness, that's a long time ago. To me, it's like, wow, that was yesterday. But I don't know. I think I said it before, and I'll say it again, is at a certain point, I used to go to conventions, any convention that I could. I go to a furry convention, a comic book convention, a role-playing convention, a gaming convention, anywhere where I could sell my illustrations. And so I did the starving artist thing. And so as far as my relationship personally with art, and I'm going to go no. And what we're going to do is we're going to restart this because it seems to be stuck in some sort of dumb loop here. So I think I'm going to unfortunately have to go end task, and we'll restart it because it's ready to go. Thank you. So really understand that everything that I say from here on out comes from a person who knows what it's like to learn how to do this, to be able to just sit there and just draw. Do it the same thing over and over and over for thousands of times and fail, but continue to try to do it because you feel it's so important to yourself to be able to create. This is all coming from somebody who has a background in art education. I went to college twice for art education, and again, until 2001 I was an avid wannabe illustrator, comic artist, and I did make my living off of it for a while. I could tell you stories about it, but then again, this whole thing isn't so much about me. But now that I've laid that out, I want to go art in Peace Island. And when I'm saying art, I'm saying human created, honest to goodness, pencil, pen, tablet art. And let me tell you, as an aside, I never liked tablets. I just don't like tablets. They never had the feeling of just your pencil scratching on the surface, and they go, oh yeah, you could get these overlays that feel like it. And it's like, no. Unless I feel, I got used to just doing things in a certain way, and I've never met a pad that felt like just good old fashioned getting a spiral art notebook that you can open up full round, turn it around and sketch with a pencil. There's nothing like it, and I'll go to my grave like that. And unfortunately, at a certain time when I was going to all these conventions, I'm backtracking. My goodness, uh, I realized that there were a heck of a lot of artists that were coming up that were much younger than me, that were, if not as good, but better than me. And when that was going on, I was like, maybe it's time for me to find other pursuit because my heart isn't in it anymore. Yes, just for these files. And by the way, here you can see, I'm going to bring this image over here. You can see the persistent bug we're having, where you can see above the horizon, it looks like a nuclear wasteland. There's nothing alive. It's kind of depressing. So, and so at a certain point in 2000, it was late in 2000, I think 2003. I got roped into working in politics, and that got me a heck of a lot more interesting jobs and a lot more media attention and such. If you look it up, I was called the one of the inventors of the do-it-yourself attack ad. Apparently I'm just this pioneer of digital media. But anyway, but yeah, going back to the art and Peace Island, art that was created, a human-made art that was created for Peace Island, and we'll ignore. And now we can go File, Build Settings. And really quick, I just want to check our enviro and make sure that it's set up properly. Oh no, I don't want to start in the middle of the night. I want to start. Jeez, Lance has been playing this in the middle of the night. Every time he sends me a bug report, it's in the middle of the night. It's crazy. Let's see, build. Stick this in the same old folder. Select deep. Pink. All right, it's gonna do its thing. And yeah, I'm going to go back to my Rambleton, and I need to go back to my list, which is on this monitor. As far as human-made art created for Peace Island, the vast majority of all art created for Peace Island was created by human beings. But if you're talking about content, including human-made art, I'd say the vast majority, I'd say in the upper 90%, were made by honest-to-goodness, good old-fashioned human beings. And I do not want to lose the search window, by the way, because I'm trying to find this thing that I was working on. I was working on a visual language for the deer, actually, this sort of iconographic language, and I lost the Photoshop document. Let's see. Oh, it's going to ask me. Yep, save already. Go back to where we were. So, yeah, I'm just going to show you an example of let's see, 2D art. I'm just going to search in here for, let's just say star.star JPEG. And I mean, honest to goodness, look at that. We're just going to, this is all human created artwork from, you can see concept sketches of all the humans and what they may have looked like. There are a bunch, let me see, all these signs. Let me see, even the picture of Aloysius Ellison there that was made by me with Photoshop. And yeah, all these posters that were made, including like Toilets for Victory here. Oh, you can't see them actually in full screen, but you can see the vast majority. Let's see, we're going to change something. We're going to look for PNG as well, because we'll find a bunch of illustrations as well in there. See all this stuff, all this crap, these posters. Again, you can see the posters there, all these images of the cats, all of these hundreds of pieces of human-made art, and that doesn't include the textures for the animals, as you can see, which were all human-made. So at this point, I think I have established very well that the vast majority of the artwork, again, into the 90s, was created by humans. Yeah, this like for example, this is like the crest for you can see on the lower right. I'm very sorry for the window size, but it is what it is. But yeah, all of this stuff, all of this all these labels, all these posters, all these like pieces of just in-game art created, and they're all made by humans, and we're very proud of that. Now that I've established, the vast majority of the content within Peace Island was created by human made artists. Let me tell you what we've used AI for. We have used AI to generate a very, very small minority of content for Peace Island. And I will show you the context in which these things are being created. For example, I do admit that I will use ChatGPT to create filler articles for newspapers and such, and to create, let's say, like wanted ads for newspapers. Because inside the game, if you don't know, there's the Peace Island Current. It's a newspaper, and oh goodness, we have like this whole thing of like there's going to be editorial cartoons in there. I mean, it's just so much stuff. But the only instances in which we have used AI generated content visually, I will show you right now. Let me see if I can go back up here, 2D, and I think I have library. Do I have that? Let's see. I keep forgetting where this folder is, but I'm pretty sure I can find it. Just give me a moment here. Let's see. Or it's on. Is it on desktop? But essentially, I will describe it for you if we can't find it. But essentially, let me see. Pics. Essentially, we have hundreds and hundreds of people who want their images used featured in Peace Island. For example, when you enter the library, there are going to be portraits of all of the former librarians up on the wall. And now we are using AI to create those images because, as I said, we are using images that are supplied, photographs, selfies, and such that are taken by hundreds of people. The lighting and image quality and angles and all of these images vary so widely that there's absolutely no way that we can keep the images consistent. However, if I take those same photographs supplied by our contributors and feed it into the the algorithm and just feed it back into itself, it can take any just blurry low-res photograph and just come up with a portrait of a photograph of that individual where the lighting is consistent, the background is consistent, the angle is consistent, and the quality is 100% consistent. So that is the extent to which we are using AI to generate content for Peace Island. Just simply to enhance the experience of people who contributed a significant amount of money to bring the game to life. So that is the extent to which AI visual content has been used in Peace Island. Now, and I've already talked about text, and there will be probably a little bit of AI generated speech, simply because for example, books on tape and stuff like that. Unfortunately, currently right now it's outside of budget, but we would like to feature that. And when we do have the budget, I would like to have those books on tape completely redone by human voiceovers. You understand? So sometimes it's used as a band-aid in hopes that we can, at a later time, fill in the gaps. So, I think I've established all of this. Oh my goodness. I'm just going to go no. We seem to be having a cascading error. But that time I just said no. We'll see what we got. Anyway, I think I found this will lead to a solution to our issue. So I'm just going to put that way down there because really that's going to be chunking away for about an hour. No, about 45 minutes. So now I've discussed my experience with art, my attitude towards art, my and our collective attitude toward art versus AI generated content. I would like to spend a couple of minutes just talking about Steam and Gabe Newell. If you're not aware, Steam is the preeminent, essentially online game distribution, network. In fact, they are currently under the victim. Well, they lost a lawsuit, antitrust lawsuit, because essentially they went in there and they treated the entire, market as their monopoly. And I support that, and you'll see to the extent to which I do support it in just a moment. Steam is run by a guy by the name of Gabe Newell, and let's just bring a picture of the handsome Gabe Newell up here. And here's the thing. It doesn't matter what a guy looks like. All you need to know is what his name is, and his origin and where his his mindset is from. Gabe Newell is this kind of guy who occasionally comes along, who read Ayn Rand when he was an impressionable young teenager, and somehow was able to make that crazy, non-philosophy work for them. Who knows? But Mazel tov, Gabe, that you were able to do that. I did not say that he's a weird Ayn Rand libertarian out of nowhere, because as anybody who has understood the recent history in the United States and worldwide, there was in the last few years we had the Black Lives Matter movement. Now there was a lot of pressure inside of Steam among the board and the people who run it and all the people down below who are like, Gabe, we really as a company need to make our position known as far as the Black Lives Matter movement. And Gabe, he just said, well, I don't think it's the realm of corporations to take on ethical stuff. The public ethics issues like this, and be public activists. But here's what I'm going to do. Gabe Newell, he said, I'm going to give everybody a $10,000 bonus at this company. I mean, he does have more money than God, and Steam is a monopoly. Now, Gabe Newell gave everybody a $10,000 bonus, saying, if you really care about Black Lives Matter, you will give this 10,000 bonus to Black Lives Matter, or a charity of your choice that's associated with it. Now, I don't need to tell you how utterly psychopathic that is. And I don't doubt that there are some libertarians who might be watching this at a later time that think what Gabe did was absolutely ethical, and so on and so forth. Well, those people are absolutely psychotic as well. I understand this happened in the context of what's happening in the United States. If you are not aware, and well, no, I'm pretty sure it's worldwide. I guarantee you it's worldwide. There are some people that cannot bring themselves to say Black Lives Matter. They just can't. And I find that to be I can't understand why I have to come out and say fellow white people can't just come out and say Black Lives Matter. For some reason, they think that it's going to turn them into something or something. But I'm going to say it just honestly, Black lives do matter. But for some reason, Gabe Newell, despite basically the entirety of everybody at the company saying we want Steam to say something about this, Gabe Newell refused to. He couldn't bring him. I don't think he's ever said it, and I doubt it. Prove me if I'm wrong if he did. But at the same time, he could not do that. And I'm very sorry, but if you can't bring yourself, no matter your race, creed, or where you're from, to say those three simple words that Black Lives Matter, I'm very sorry. There's something wrong with you. Leave out the corporate stuff. Even with the it is bad corporate citizenship on top of everything else in the context of race relations at the time. and things. So anyway, that's where Gabe Newell comes from. Now, our relationship with Steam, Peace Island does have a Steam page. I can probably bring it up here. Well, no, just type in Peace Island Steam, and you'll find it, the page there. We hope to release, well, heaven knows what a publisher's going to say, but we got plans. We got big plans. Now, so we definitely have a Steam page. We also have we have an itch page, but we don't have a GOG page yet. That's something I just haven't had time for lately. So, but I will hopefully by the time we have the public beta ready. But so, as I said earlier, Steam has behaved as a monopoly, and I am a part of the class. In full disclosure, I am part of the class action lawsuit against Steam. I was contacted by the lawyers that are involved in it, and they said, "Listen, I don't know whether they had won at that point, but I believe they have at this point. But yeah, I am part of that because, well, they are a monopoly, and I am only being recompensed for a certain percentage of games that were purchased in a certain window. So, and I just feel the need to." Put that out there for just full disclosure. You could talk about the again, any libertarian is free to get in touch with me. We could discuss the finer ethical issues, but I mean, here's the thing: that person has to do so in email with the subject line Black Lives Matter. There you go. So moving on from there, if you're not familiar, Steam has said that they will not have, they will not allow any games that contain AI content to be featured on Steam. Here's why that's going to fail. I could go into the minutia of it, but here's why it's going to fail. That's all you need to know. Steam has said categorically any game that contains AI created content is not allowed on the Steam platform. But here's why it's going to fail. And you need to keep this that antitrust lawsuit that I mentioned earlier in mind as I tell you how this is going to end. And by the way, you are free to get in touch with me, and I'm willing to bet you $1,000 this is exactly how Steam's a ban on AI content within games is going to end. Drum roll, please. The reason it's going to fail, and it's the reason why it is already failing, is because there are already hundreds of games up on Steam that have AI generated content on them. I've seen reviews of them on on YouTube, and I can spot AI generated content just as well as the average guy. And trust me, we all have that vision now. Over the last year, ever since AI generated content came around, visual content, we have really become adept at seeing that uncanny valley. And you see it all over games that are already on Steam. And I guarantee you there are thousands of more games that are being developed that have AI generated content in them. And they will have AI generated content in far more quantity and percentage and ratio than we do. Now, let's say Steam is somehow able to detect AI content within their games, which they can't, because again they already have games up there with AI content in them. And they kick Peace Island off, and they kick all of these other games off. I will absolutely welcome that, because here's again what's going to happen. I'd say. I mean, I used to think it was months, but now I think it's going to be weeks. I think it's probably within 6 to 8 weeks of Steam kicking off all of these games that contain AI generated content, one of the big players, such as Sony, Konami, or let's see, Sony, Konami, let's see, Square Enix, one of these big companies is going to come out with a game. And within those 6 to 8 weeks, it's going to sell, it's going to be really successful. It's going to sell millions of copies. And it's going to come out a couple of, weeks after its release. That, oh my goodness. Well, no, 6 to 8 weeks after that game's release. That somehow it got past quality control and there is a little bit of AI generated content inside of that Square Enix game that just sold millions of copies and put millions of dollars into the pockets of the executives of, and Gabe Newell, the Steam executives and Gabe Newell. Steam at that point is stuck with two decisions. They can either be true to their, decision of, my goodness, this is so important, we have to, kick off all games. And they will have to, refund all the money. I don't know how they're going to handle that. And I don't think they will. Because what's going to happen is that Steam is going to suddenly, wake up and they're going to go, oh my goodness, you know what? We consider our ban on AI-generated content in games to be a little bit heavy-handed. And, we've come to the decision now that, yes, a certain percentage of AI-generated content is fine. And that, the moment that happens, oh my goodness. At that point, Peace Island and every one of the other game studios that had their games kicked off of Steam are going to get together, and there's going to be a lawsuit against Steam that is going to make the current antitrust lawsuit look teensy tiny, because they will be suing for lost revenue. They will be, oh my goodness, they're going to be so, it's going to, Gabe Newell may have to sell one or two of his planes and yachts and houses to make up for it. And I'm not going to cry when that happens. Even if there's a game out there that's 100% AI generated content, I will not cry if that person, is a recipient, just as we will be, of the settlement costs or the eventual judgment against Steam. So that's how it will end. And again, you can take that to the bank. That is exactly how this will end. Again, I will recap, give you the quick version, is Steam kicks off all games that have a little bit of AI content in them. Then Square Enix or Sony sells them several million copies of a game on Steam that a few weeks later is disclosed to have AI-generated content in it. Then, board of Steam and executives of Steam and Gabe Newell, unwilling and unable to give up the millions of dollars and back up their ban, capitulates and allows Square Enix or Sony to keep their big game up. Then, all these people that were previously kicked off of Steam sue Steam and, heck, are able to fund their next games. That's how it will end. Anyway, I've been rambling on for about 39 minutes here. I think I started off a little bit shaky, like, Robert Kennedy Jr. or who is that guy? I forget his name. The guy who's running for president, and don't let that guy. He's a crazy guy. But I believe I covered our attitude and our position toward AI-generated content, and I've outlined how we use it in the game and how we use it in a tiny proportion to all the human-created art that we use. And the only thing that's left is that a troll asked me, do you think there's anything morally wrong with me using this limited amount of AI-generated content? Absolutely not. In the context that we are using it, i.e., to create wanted ads in written form and to create better images of the contributors that made Peace Island a reality and whose images are supposed to be featured in the game, I consider our hands are clean. And again, that comes from a guy who knows how to draw, and it was a professional artist for well over a decade. I wasn't the most rich artist in the world, but I sustained myself on it. Anyway, I think now that I've lost all viewers here for a good 20 minutes, I'm going to let you go because, as you can see here, I'm going to push myself over to the side and push this guy over here. You can see we got this guy, and it's just taking its sweet, sweet time. So we got to just let it go. So have yourselves a good evening. And I believe, because it's going to take it another 20 minutes, I think, or 10, 15 minutes to get beyond this. And at the end, we may still have that ghosting problem. We may not. Anyway, I don't think we're going to be able to release tonight. But that's fine. I got to go write an update for our Patreon supporters. Take care, guys. And I don't think I, rambled too much in this one. But take care. See you later. Bye.